Hello and welcome on back. Today we've got pretty much a simple video to go over because we ran into some issues. Well, I ran into some issues with trees and leaves and things like that for those guys. So for right now we're gonna gear ourselves towards creating some rocks today. I will go back and revisit trees, and I'll discuss a little bit of why I haven't been working on the trees just yet and finishing them out completely. So, to start with, we're going to turn this cube into a rock. There's this fun way to use all these modifiers inside of Blender. So, what we're going to do is we're going to grab this subdivision surface. We're going to up it to, say, around 4. Bring all that up and that one. So now we have this cube that's now been more of turned into a sphere. We're gonna add in our displacement. Gonna tell it to add a new texture. Actually, just gonna go here to texture 0 because I had this set up earlier. It's this Vroni texture. And if we really have it super hot, super low, we're going to get something like this. But if we increase the size of it to around 1.25, we're going to get these nice hard edges and some of these divots and really starts to get a good rock look. So let's change just the size of this down more to like 0.2. Then let's head on back over to our modifiers, and what we can do with the displacement is we can actually create more variation to this rock by just editing that map out. And see, now we have something with a lot more edges to it, so I could use this one rock more times because I can rotate it around and it'll give players a different face, a different formation, because at every angle you can see it's kind of a different rock. But what we'll do is we'll create like 5 of these rocks using this method, and we'll get a good assembly of a bunch of different rocks that can all be placed at different angles, and it'll just look amazing. But to export this to Unreal, we just need to apply all of these. But currently the face count is at like 1500, way too high for a rock. We need this to be brought down to, say, more like 500, just way less than what it needs to be. So I can see here is one of my edges or the end of a face. So all I'm going to do is just select every other line till I reach another joint just like this. And then I'm just going to do the same going up. And what this is pretty much going to do is it's going to eliminate roughly half of the faces in this whole mesh. I'm going to do it just right here as well. Now it will change the look of the mesh. As you can see as I'm going around, there's some really hard edges and things like that. So we're going to fix those as well. And we're just going to dissolve all these edges. Right now the rock is still not looking super pretty. But we can fix some of that. So we can go to the object, tell it to shade smooth, and it kind of looks good, but as you can see in the silhouette, there's still these rough edges and these really weird shadows going on. So we can fix those again. If we just head into sculpting, we grab our smooth tool and we lower the strength of it way down. And now we just kind of hit it with the smooth tool. And as you can see, we are pretty much just wanting to fix the silhouette a little bit so that we don't have any of those really hard edges, especially geometry that's just not going to work in the game. Now, since we did limit its geometry, it is going to be hard to fully smooth out these edges, but we're going to get it pretty good. It's going to look real good once we're done here. It's a lot of touching up, a lot of trying to see what I can't see. Yeah, that's starting to look better. So I smooth it on out. We're still keeping a rough appearance here. How does that look? How do those? I'm mainly looking right along here at these edges because that's what the player is going to see. The player is going to see that, and I can hide a lot of that with texturing and LODing and things like that, but I really can't do that much magic to hide it. So really do have to do a lot. That's looking really good. That looks like a great rock. I'm an artist, so I say it looks good and then I touch it up again and then I continue touching it up. That's just the endless cycle that we have. It's a nightmare. It's kind of similar to what's happening to the trees. So as I continue looking around this, I'll explain what's going on with the trees. I've noticed with the tool that I use to create the trees that it kind of created them with too high of a polygon count, and the surface of it, the skin, let's see, I can explain it here. The topology of it just looked pretty bad. It was really awful to look at. The whole mesh was just kind of like hard to really like want to UV it or skin it. The UVing process is really important for an object, especially when you're doing it for a video game, because you have to make sure that the skin or surface of the object has a really clean, uniform topology, something that has a lot of nice squares. The squares can be all these different sizes and stuff, but you just need to make sure that you have these really good edges to work with. Like right here, I have beautiful edges that I can just automatically see, click on each and every one of them, and you'll see later on, I'll actually show you on this rock what I mean, because it's real important to have something like this going on, where I literally just went around and clicked on every single edge that I could tell. And what that gave me was the top phase, left face, right face, back, and gave me all these types of faces really easily to spot. So now what I can do is for our UVs, I can mark these all as seams. And when I pull up my UV editor and I select everything here and I tell it to average island scales, or no, I want it to pack the islands. Why aren't you packing islands? Oh, do I have to select them? I think it needs me to have them selected. Okay, so seams from islands, pack the islands, unwrap it, You can see what we ran into a little bit is didn't quite grab these seams. I think I pressed a button at the wrong time. We can fix that. Alright, that should be fixed now. We will mark those as seams. Select all again. Unwrap. There we go. We have one more area. Where are you guys still connected? Connected right there. There we go. Now, when we select all, let me tell you to unwrap. Everything's there we go. So, what I was talking about is when we have good UVs, when we have something that looks like this, we can do a lot of easy things inside of Blender to help us out just a little bit more. Like we can average their scale, make sure they're the right size, we can pack them in, and then we can just give them a little bit more space because Blender likes to squeeze things together, which isn't bad for, say, a texture UV. Like this is great for texturing. And what I've noticed with the trees is that we don't get this kind of effect. We don't get these nice, easy to use UVs where when I go to texture them or apply a texture to it, it is messy, it's all over the place, and just doesn't work. When I revisit the trees, I'll show you guys the bad UVs and then I'll recreate new trees because I just have to. I've used so many different programs to try and create trees faster, and I've just never had a good relationship with them. They've been really mean to me in many ways, or just not helpful in creating something that has good polygons and a low face count, because right now this rock is at 486, and for a big rock that the player is going to be able to see and maybe stand on top of or get real close to or interact with, that is great. Most rocks we want to keep below 500 faces because we don't want the game to have to load in this 100,000 polygon count rock that's going to take hours for the game to do, while it's also loading in the million polygon counts on a character or on a tree, which we maybe only want a million polygon count on our character because that's like the hero asset. Hero assets being actually something that is given a lot of attention, a lot of focus, and the player sees up close and personal a lot of times, which would be the hero of the game because you actually have the camera floating around and many times you want the camera to get closer. So we want to make sure that our rocks get good polygon counts around 500 or lower, depending on their size and how close the player is going to get to them. Like if this rock is going to be like the size of a pebble, 500 polygon count is way too high. This much information is not needed, and so we'll eliminate and make it a lot smaller. So that's what we're going to do. Actually, is we're going to work on creating multiple rocks to fit that scenario. So with that said, I know I went over a lot, really confusing stuff. Hope you guys understood. If you didn't, feel free to comment down below. I'll be happy to answer your questions. And thank you for enjoying these videos. We're going to have more coming in soon. Hopefully I'll start being able to get more active in the channel and create more videos more often. Currently, once a week is roughly where I'm at. So thank you guys. Feel free to comment down below, like, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.